Sup, homies? We're back.
Welcome to the boys on tour. It's the bad British boys.
You hadn't thought of anything to go there, had
Nah,
you? Oh my goodness.
Oh, Jimmy's here. I was wondering where he was. He wasn't in the cast room. I was like,
still measuring the gap. All right, you're still trying to find.
Who else?
All right.
Wait, he's measuring the gap between Europe and the other regions, right?
Yeah, that's exactly what he's doing.
I hear it's closing.
Well, I did see Ender chasing him, so
Anyway, game 2.
Game 2.
G2, very convincing in game 1. And BDS have moved over to the blue side for game 2.
Will Rel be banned?
That's the question. Draven Kalista immediately from BDS once again. Talia from G2.
I want these teams to leave Talia open. I want to see
Bell
Talia
will be
jungle.
banned.
Will be banned by G2.
But it's perma-banned, this Talia pick.
Do you think it might be because it's quite strong at the moment?
No, Medic, I just think they're like banning Talia for no reason.
I don't like rocks.
I saw a former pro player playing it on stream, and it didn't look that strong to me.
Ah, okay. You've been watching a lot of Boxer?
Thank you, Medic.
bro.
For once, you were nice to me. I thought I was expecting Medic to just throw me under the bus straight away.
Problem is, Boxer does play it really well, though, so it's untruthful. Anyway, Ivern
Bad games happen.
for BDS, that's true. Olaf and LeBlanc, the final 2 bans. See where G2 decide to go. Zeri, Kai'Sa, Kog'Maw, Braum, not Kalista, Xayah still available.
Alistar.
BrokenBlade. I mean, we did see Renekton be a high priority pick for G2 at the end of Summer Split.
Yeah.
I'm surprised to see it have so much value as a blind, though. So far, it just hasn't had the level of impact that I suppose I would expect for something as strong, or that you'd be willing to first pick blind it. Perhaps it's just that you feel a little too concerned about other potential blinds.
Whoa! What the hell?
Whoa!
What? Yeah. What?
Explain, someone, right now.
I'm not the analyst, man. I'm not going to explain this
Only
Get the solo
context
queue
I have of Evelynn is in 13-16 she's going to get nerfed. And I saw Self-Made tweet, yeah, like these changes will make her like useless. Like, so he was alluding to her being really OP. But I haven't otherwise seen it
Because
anywhere.
Yamato was talking about the solo queue accounts, and I didn't hear anything about Eve.
Okay.
They have kept this.
Are they going to play
I
Yone
will
or
say,
something as well?
We should have predicted this. She's
Really?
been played once this year in the Superliga 2nd Division Summer. So we should have known that this was going to happen.
My bad.
She lost that game.
Stats don't lie.
All right. Well, okay. So
Okay,
Darius
everything
and
just got more
Zeri.
exciting.
right. Well, I mean, I'm excited. BDS have decided to go for comfort. We've got Crownie on his Zeri once again. Not that he had a bad game in game 1. Of course, those early TPs mitigated his ability to, have a good early game. And then the Darius, big comfort pick coming out for Adam as an answer into the Renekton. Makes a lot of sense. The Nautilus really locked in. You talked about last draft, Caedrel, how it just gives you a lot of single target lockdown, great utility, great skirmishing in the early game as well. But this Evelynn, wow. Something that, I'm glad you shouted out Self-Made. He used to be the OG here in Europe.
Actually, the last European player to play Evelynn in a major region as well.
Oh, really?
Yep. All the way back in summer 2021. That's the last time we saw it in the LEC.
Evelynn legend. So yeah, we'll see what Yike can do on it. Has Yike got any?
I will say technically, I said European player. Inspired did play at MSI 2022, but he was playing for.
He betrayed us though, so he is a traitor. Lulu banned away there. See if they take away the Braum. Maybe Zeri, Braum, and Nautilus might be a bit annoying. Where's the Renekton going? Expecting it to go top into this Darius, but I mean, you can flex it mid.
You're
and
totally right, yeah.
and we saw Cassante mid today in the LCK, right? So I feel like AD mids are definitely what you need when you're playing Evelynn. There's an Alistar ban, so they're going to leave the Braum open. Yeah, I'm not too sure. I think the Renekton can be flexible in that sense.
Could do something top or something.
Yeah.
Something ranged into the Darius.
Maybe like a Quinn. But yeah, no, the Evelynn definitely needs something that she needs double AD solo laner. So we've got Lucian, Xayah, Kalista, Draven bans, and Zeri picked. Could do Kog'Maw without the Braum. I'm not sure if we've seen that. Could go Aphelios, something along those lines, if Handsome wants.
I'm trying to think of other AD carries with
Kai'Sa.
Lucian taken off the board.
I mean, Kai'Sa's still available if you wanted to go towards it.
True.
Kai'Sa Nautilus, relatively strong together. Yike has been playing a bit of Evelynn, about 10 games as far as I can find on a few accounts in the last month.
No.
Kai'Sa for G2 locked in. Now BDS looking towards their support and mid lane.
They could remember still put the Kai'Sa mid.
Yeah, true.
Could be a Kai'Sa mid, Renekton.
I don't think we've seen Caps play Kai'Sa mid at all.
No, we did. We got one
we saw
game.
one?
Yeah, it was in playoffs. We saw one game.
So they are going to go for the Braum. I don't blame the Alistar ban when you're playing Evelynn. I think just anything that can lock you down is just really frustrating to deal with. And the Braum into Nautilus, Kai'Sa makes a lot of sense with the Zeri, so that should be a nice lane that BDS can play through.
Do you ever run the Nautilus mid? I know it kind of fell out of favor a little bit.
Depends on the matchup.
Slightly. Depends on the matchup, as you say, but does give you a little flexibility if you want to bring that out.
I would like a Sylas here or something. You know, just any melee champ. We get the Braum into Nautilus, Evelynn, Ivern with you.
Right now, BDS have like 0 engage. Like, how do they? You know, you talked about their limited CC last game. I would argue that it's not really that much better this game. They've got Ivern and Braum CC. Like, again, you kind of got this double ranged carry setup, right, with Tristana mid and the Zeri bot. You've got this kind of front line that's going to try and cause chaos. And if you can get the resets on the Darius, sure.
Is it Jayce time for caps?
Yeah, might be.
Yeah, it looks like it. Good predict there.
Makes a lot of sense.
Especially with AP jungle, right? You want that extra physical damage threat. There's the Jayce locked in. Unlikely to be Nautilus mid now, but I have seen Mikyx playing a lot of Lissandra support, so maybe Jayce support, you know, just one step removed from that.
Here's what I will say, G2's comp, if you swapped Evelynn, and Maokai, like, this would look like a very standard 13-13 draft, right? But now we've got this Evelynn. I'm curious as to what is so different about it and what it brings to a draft. Because you think of something like a Maokai, that AP option, left unbanned, gives a lot of utility, something that Yike used to play a huge amount of. It was often like the Ivern, Maokai back and forth, but Evelynn's just going to have a lot more damage.
Evelynn instills side lane paranoia.
That's true.
That's what it does. As much as Nocturne and Taliyah and Globals are annoying, you can kind of measure where they are. Evelynn, you've got no clue. You want to push that side wave? Think twice, buddies. That's the only thing that I think Evelynn provides in terms of pressure. So what you want to do at level 6 is you want to put normal wards on her camps. Normal wards anywhere else, useless, but warding her camps is really important. And then obviously control wards throughout the river.
Changes things up a little bit this draft with the Evelynn locked in. We'll see how BDS work around the early vision control, because they do need to strike back. The winner of this series, locks in Worlds, will be going to Montpellier as well. Will be at least our 3rd seed at the World Championship. A loser plays up against SK in our lower side of the bracket. If they win that, then they will be going to Worlds. So, still, not an elimination game, but one that puts you in a much better position, obviously, if you do end up winning it.
Well, so far in Game 1, G2 gave us a pretty convincing performance. Game 2, BDS sticking with a similar play style. We'll see if they can have a stronger early game performance. We're jumping straight into the Rift. BDS stacking, moving towards the top side of the map.
A root caller over the wall is quite commonplace when you're playing the Ivern. You can look for everyone to jump in. BDS can go for that. There's the root caller, nothing happens, so everyone just backs away.
Yeah. Looking for a level 1. I mean, Braum level 1 with double AD carry and stuff is very powerful, so maybe not done here.
I was so confused. I was like, do you guys hear that squeaking? And then it was Ivern spamming something.
Gonna get a ward on the red buff just to see where the Evelynn starts.
Yeah, you talked about how important that is, Caedrel. Not surprised to see that early investment.
Yeah.
Yike gonna cross map, do the same thing on the red buff of Sheo.
Post 6, warding her camps is really everything, because that's the only time you'll see her in terms of getting information. So Raptor wards are good, top lane push to Krug wards is really good, bot lane push to Gromp wards is really good. And that just helps you to keep track of the Evelynn.
Thought Hunt and Mikyx might be doing something crazy there for a second. But they're just going to back off. Nothing too exciting. Yike looks like he's going to be starting on his Raptors. And Cap's going to be giving a bit of assistance. As Sheo going to do a top side to bot. Alright, never mind. No mid assistance. But yeah, excited to see what this Evelynn does. How much experience do you have in your pro career on Evelynn?
I've played against it a lot. Scrimming Fnatic when Selfmade was there, yeah, Evelynn was picked quite a hefty amount. So I guess I learned to deal with it. The only thing with Evelynn is obviously her early ganks are actually not that bad if you have setup. Like the W charm into the Q is obviously a nice chunk of CC, but the combo when you're in later stages is just QW instantly just to get the slow, and then that's when you burst her down. As Sheo really wants that red, he needs to interrupt it. Doesn't get it. Oh, he does get it. He got the interrupt.
He gets the interrupt. Yike forces Sheo to flash the wall.
The good news for Sheo is that Nuke had to push in mid, and his positioning, bring up the minimap to highlight this, he was directly hovering on the top side of the lane to make sure that he could rotate and stop Caps from collapsing. Nuke now moving into the enemy jungle to see if he can find Yike. But early invade doesn't go the way that BDS won.
Yeah, so Yike actually went from Raptors to Krugs, saw him coming through on the ward, stopped his Krugs, ran to the red, and just interrupted him. Just last millisecond. If Sheo got that and it smited it, he'd probably force Yike's flash, actually, because the Evelynn will be so weak, and that's 1v1 up against the red buff.
Nuke jumping in onto Caps, explosive charge going down. Caps down to half HP, but so is Nuke. Caps losing most of his mana bar through this early phase of the game, but does have the biscuit, so can regain at least a little bit of that mana back. Mikyx with a hook. Unbreakable comes down from Labrov, and Unsummer and Mikyx unable to put too much more damage down. Yeah, the Jayce mana is always, you know, when the wave comes into you, just going to hammer form, last hit with the hammer form for the W passive to get your mana back up. So Cap should be able to recuperate that a little bit. The bone plating helps him so much in this lane. You can see Tristana all in, 3 ticks of bone plating proc. Would have been a lot lower otherwise.
Ping's coming down. Evelynn has been. Well, actually, I'm not sure if she was spotted.
Spotted on a Scryer's Bloom.
Yeah,
Sheo hit her.
Mission definitely gained. Now Yike and Sheo will fight over the crab. But the bot lane of G2 should be able to collapse faster here, so I'd be surprised if Sheo can continue to fight this. Luke once again all in.
Trading in onto Caps. Explosive charge will go down.
Nice trade from Luke there. Should force Caps out of lane. Caps trying to dive if Caps overstays.
Caps had like a frame there where he was thinking of flashing behind him and knocking him into the tower because there was no wave. Decided against it, but by his movement, it looked like he really wanted to do it. Just gonna have to catch those minions and base the TP.
Above hooked. Takes some plasma damage, but he's able to just walk away. Sheo spotted on a ward in the tri-bush, means that this will really just be helping Crownie and Labrov push the wave out. So, once again, a slowish early game.
Yeah, the Evelynn slowly getting her full clear up, which is important, I think. First clear, full clear, and then it's just play for jungle when you're playing with Evelynn. Make sure that you can cover any invades, get her to 6, and then she can play in self-sufficient ways. Kind of find her own windows. So that's a massive wave just crashing into BB's tower. That's about 4 waves eventually stacked up if you consider the first half.
A top matchup, obviously one we need to watch in this game with how powerful BrokenBlade was in game 1. Managed to get himself a huge lead on the Kled. Renekton a little bit more utility than the Kled, or at least not as much upright damage, but BrokenBlade continues to impress in the top lane. Definitely our best top laner across the course of summer.
Looks like Yike's
BrokenBlade had a great split. You're talking about Yike, able to get the second crab.
Yeah, sorry to distract too much from BrokenBlade, but that's huge for Evelynn. Gonna get to his Crux respawn, level 5 base again if he wants to, and yeah, Evelynn is sailing through this early game.
Man, the vision control from G2 has just been impeccable, though. Like, every time we look for Sheo and it's like, oh, is he going to find a gank? Is he going to be able to do something? He's spotted on a ward before he even gets in range of the gank. Here, he was spotted on that ward just across the wall. Bot lane, tri-bush ward. If he looks towards top, there's a ward there to spot him as well. G2's early game vision has actually been really impressive, and BDS are struggling to find plays around it in the early game.
So far, BDS have really struggled to find anything in the other game, same in game 1. But it is the nature of their composition. They don't have a huge amount of lanes to play through, or at least it's not an easy task to achieve. Nuke, though, with this push, should make it easier to secure this first dragon for BDS. Yike doesn't really want to go for these early skirmishes. Unsummer and Mikyx don't have that much mana. So this should be an uncontested first dragon of the game. BDS start off by getting a small advantage over G2.
Yeah, I think the Braum lane really helps you get that early dragon into the Nautilus, as well as the jungler of G2 playing the Evelynn, just wanting to full clear. You can see he's just standing there waiting for his Grom to spawn. That's literally all he wants to do, secure this Grom.
Yike here might be caught out a little bit. Mikyx coming in as well. Nuke jumping forward. Yike exhausted. They're trying to take down the Evelynn. Supposed to charge reset. There's the stun with concussive blows and first blood to BDS. Mikyx jumping away with a Riptide. A flash. Well, escape for the moment. Caps might look for a little bit more damage on the retreat.
And honestly, just a great punish by BDS. As you rightly called, Caedrel, Yike was just waiting for the Grom to spawn. They had a ward on it, and they knew that there was nothing he could really do to escape. Mikyx was the only person there that could offer protection, but with the chase down of an Ivern and a Braum, and with the damage from this Tristana, BDS secure an easy first blood.
Ooh, Yike's gonna die again.
Adam spots him. No flash for Yike here either. The Noxian Guillotine coming down. And that will be enough for Adam. Get his first kill of the game.
This Evelynn, ooh, this is rough. He's not even got his second camp respawn on bot side yet, so he's far away from that level 6. And they've just kind of nullified a lot of the pressure that the Evelynn will start to put out in terms of being able to power farm. Not so much, you know, the gank set up at level 6, you can start to threaten any of these lanes. All of them have their flashes up still other than the Braum, but it's just that the power farming has been put on hold.
Really great play there.
Hooking in, Sheo's here. Trigger seed down already. Crownie's using the cleanse early. It's Concussive Blows goes down onto Mikyx. Summer tag with Winter's Bite, but it will be 3-0 in favor of BDS.
Fantastic start for BDS. Adam with a great awareness of tracking Yike and being able to get that kill, punishing the hook landed by Mikyx with good cover from Sheo. With a composition that wants to scale, BDS find themselves in a great position to get there.
Crownie really wants to get the wave in, but also chunk Hansama enough to get a plate too. A little bit greedy. Hansama having Halo Blades, but Hansama is
Hansama going in, the Unbreakable immediately from Labrov, and Hansama will fall. Crownie will fall in response.
Ambitious play there from Hansama. The protection was good, but he made it work. 1 for 1. Adam is sitting in Yike's jungle right now, and there's nothing that G2 can really do about it. They should be able to use this pressure to get the Herald. You can see Labrov on his way up already as Crownie is respawning. And with the pressure that Nuke continues to have in mid, yes, shouldn't feel afraid of going for these early skirmishes based on how things have been playing out.
So Crownie wants to play it. Hansama wants to W flash auto him and catch him off guard to proc the passive because he gets a second auto in, but then Labrov jumps in the way to stop the passive from proccing. And Crownie flashes a little bit too far forwards there though. Gets a tower shot and dies for his aggression. So it's a 1 for 1. Hansama loses a couple creeps. Herald's still up. Yike's looking top here onto Adam. Maybe will have the rage if he eases forwards to get the W.
I feel like with how squishy Yike is, it wouldn't surprise me.
That's the stun. Crossing guillotine available for Adam, and he pulls Yike back, but Yike, of course, can just jump away.
Evelynn the ultimate, though, that's huge, and that's a little bit, it's actually quite a long cooldown, so BDS can now just start to force. Take that Herald easily, Dragon spawning in 2 minutes time, and then they can look to pressure the bot side of the map. Adam losing that flash stings a lot, but yeah, 1 minute 30 seconds away from that ultimate for Yike.
It should be an uncontested Herald. BrokenBlade is making his way down. Yike on his way as well. Hansama.
Glacial Fissure goes down, tags him, and Hansama, even with the killer instinct, is gonna fall. Mikyx now coming in from the side, and Crownie can dance across that wall if he wants. BDS able to distract G2 enough around the Rift Herald to secure their second neutral objective of the game, and with it, about a 2,000 gold lead.
And I like the double AD carry they're running this time around. Why is that? Well, they have a melee support, so that makes Ivern skirmishing better, and they have a Tristana mid, which actually can pressure the map and roam to sides to help out, so the Darius isn't left, or in the Renekton rather last game, the Darius now isn't left in isolation. BB has no ult. Sheo can land this.
Caller comes out, Adam there for the chase, uses the Decimate hook on Nuke in the mid lane as he's locked up. He can flash and jump away. BrokenBlade will fall to the blade of Adam, and BDS starting to run away with this game.
And they are, Medic. BDS are finding so much on the map right now, and so much of it comes off the back of punishing Yike twice. That initial pick on the bot side of the map, the pick that they found around the red buff, thanks to Adam.
Oh, they hooked him out the way so that he could snipe him!
That is genius for Mikyx and Caps.
That was a really good setup. You can see Caps laughing. That was so smart, actually. Nuke was greedy for the wave. Don't think he accounted for hooking the Braum out of the way so Caps could snipe him like that. Really well played from G2 mid support despite them being in a deficit.
So G2, they will get something back, but they still find themselves at a 2k gold deficit. As Evelynn not yet having the impact that G2 would have wanted. But we're going to look back at this hook play.
You can see them talking about it here. They're like, if you hook him out the way, I can snipe. Oh, it's frame perfect, isn't it? It's so good.
And that's the Dustblade complete for Caps. Static Shiv on Hansama as well, echoed by Crownie. As the most gold in the game right now, I do believe, without charging in. Crownie 1,000 gold ahead of anyone else. Hansama very far behind right now, but wow, we'll be able to farm up.
2.3k gold lead now. Just got a 700-800 gold lead extra from that Herald play onto bot. And a push in the wave, they're gonna get Dragon. G2 can't contest anything, they really can't. Nautilus into Braum Ivern with a Daisy and double AD carry. If he goes in and gets hooked and gets procced on the passive, he's dead instantly. The Evelynn has a blasting wand, so there's no damage whatsoever in terms of threatening one-shots. It's just Caps really that's stronger than Nuke. So Mikyx just hovering around mid to make sure he can get the push. And BB's trying to
flash hook. Oh, Nuke. He cancelled it. He pulled out of the jump there. He tried to get away, but Nuke falls so low. The trigger seed and Yike almost gets the kill. Will in the end secure it. Can jump away as well with the last caress. Another hook, but that's onto a minion. Can't quite catch out Sheo. Meanwhile, Adam's worked his way down from the top lane. Yike healing up. Puts the charm down, looking to allure. Adam charms him back. Yike low though, not seeing guillotine. No time to use it. The last caresses the last breath of life for Adam.
Evelynn finally getting some kills. That's so important. 12, 13 minutes in, just a blasting one, but now he's got 4 stacks on the Dark Seal and just got a huge shutdown onto the Darius. Small mistakes coming through from BDS. G2 just brute forcing to the only lane that can even contest in the map stage right now.
You have to wonder if that was how much of a mistake that was for BDS, because you can see G2 is just forcing every opportunity they can. They realize they're falling behind, and so they're just trying to make plays happen. And then I think BDS kind of got baited into an overextended skirmish. Now they're going to give a lot more gold back to G2.
Can you check how much gold the Yike's sitting on right now, Mikyx?
Yeah.
He must be on so much. Okay, almost 3k. That makes sense. He's going to pick himself up a full item. Maybe they're going to look top, though.
Summer has that killer instinct. Yike caught with the Winter's Bite. Control ward down as well as Sheo looks to join the fight from the side. Mikyx locked up for a long time. Daisy with the knockup as well, and G2 can't defend him. Summer now has to flash away. This BDS doing the catching, another knockup as Daisy's come to play. A double for Crownie in the fight.
And Crownie just eliminates any small blunder that they made in the mid lane. Another 2 kills go over to the AD carry. And now he finds himself at 5-1, a great punish. And it all comes back to what you were talking about earlier, Caedrel. This Braum Ivern combination just gives you so much more skirmishing power than what we saw from BDS in game 1.
Yeah, you really need those mini supports. The Lulu doesn't offer anything. But you can see playing Nautilus into this is just, it's abysmal. You just can't move. The AD carry procs it quickly, and then you're just standing there being free hit. And what can your carries do back? The Braum can put up the shield if you decide to ult back. Hansama dies. That's a 5-kill Zeri now that they have to deal with an Ivern by his side and a Braum to protect. So as much as Yike's getting all this gold and actually getting himself back into the game, does he have the damage to kill the Zeri with this much defense around her?
It's going to be a tricky one for him.
Right?
Yeah, I agree.
Now we look at their lane assignments. Zeri being sent to mid. Something we've seen a lot with the introduction of Static Shiv is AD carries just being left alone in mid lane because of that. You just insta-clear the wave, and it means that your support doesn't have to offer as much protection. So you'll see a lot of roaming once again from Labrov and Sheo. Right now they're just hovering around mid, wanting to make sure that Crownie is okay. There's not much to play for on sides right now. That mid tier 1 is the objective they want to secure, but by having control of the mid, it also sets you up nicely for the Herald spawning in 45 seconds.
BDS trying to gain some vision control around here. Make sure that G2 can't find a sneaky way forward. Above with those deeper wards, helps him trap Yike around his cap. Summer left a little bit to his own devices in the mid lane, and because BDS have control of the top side, Root Caller goes down onto Yike. He was spotted. Adam looking for the damage, can't quite apprehend him back across the wall.
Gotta ward the camps. I think he got spotted by a Sky's Broom as well, so yeah, he's forced away.
Sorry, I was laughing at look at the wards. You talked about them, our observers panned across, and there was just vision littered everywhere from BDS. Far cry from what we saw from them in game 1.
Bots from BB. Maybe they're trying to dive Adam on the nuke, on the cross map.
I mean, that's what they're trying to do, right? Dominus already coming out. They're giving up on the Herald as Caps goes forward. There's the bone plating croc. They'll wait for that to fall off, and then you're just looking for a flash Ruthless Predator here. Nuke tries to get away. Dashing Buster to knock BrokenBlade and Caps away. And no chase available for the rest of G2.
I'm surprised BrokenBlade didn't just flash stun. He went for the flash E, so then he actually E'd behind Nuke. He then ulted him and jumped. Doesn't even have to use the flash. That's a horror for G2. That should have been a guaranteed kill. Now they just lost second Herald. Not going to lose top tier 2 though.
Very nice play there from Nuke. He'll now complete the Kraken Slayer. Get a little bit more damage for himself. As BDS are taking control over this game. Game 1 looked very convincing from G2. This time around, I feel like BDS, they weren't afraid of this Evelynn pick. They handled it very well in the early game, and huge credit to how they were able to find windows to punish it. Now they're 9-4. They have a nearly 6k gold lead, well 5k gold lead, my apologies. And they're setting up for the next dragon, spawning right now. Immediately on the timer. An uncontested objective once more.
It's just the difference between this and game 1 that it's very stark. G2 overloading the top side, thinking perhaps maybe Adam would come across to defend, save that tier 1, but BDS giving it up, allowing G2 to claim a little bit of gold back, but in response they will get the dragon. They will be on soul point with a mountain soul, and they're pushing in both mid and bot.
So Yike just leveled up to level 11, 2 points in the ultimate. This is, with the Sork shoes and the Mythic, how much damage can you do onto Crownie? This is the long-awaited question that we need the answer for, because if he doesn't even go for it or find the angle, then the pick's just worthless. Threatening them, trying to get a pick, getting summoners out of them.
Okay, Caps flashes away. Glacial Fissure has been used. Labrov tanks a couple of tower shots, and Caps tanks a lot of damage from the extendo beam. Yike still here, yet to be seen. With the Riptail charging in, Mikyx has to flash away. Riptail will be taken out. G2 will lose another tower. BDS 5,000 gold ahead.
I mean, when I kind of look at G2's comp, they have decent poke once Han, Summit, and Caps are online. And then in theory, you can use that poke to then set up for Yike to find a flank. You then get to pick, and then you kind of snowball the fight from there. But in a straight up front to back, BDS have so many more tools. Double AD carry, the Ivern and the Braum utility. They just walked up to that tower, and G2 really couldn't do anything about it. And I feel like that's going to be the story of this game now. BDS can just keep forcing these objectives, and they're going to keep forcing G2 into positions that they don't want to be in.
And I think after this top wave, Crownie might have Bloodthirster as well. Maybe this top wave and a Grump, he's getting really close to it. Yeah, sitting on 1.1, 1.2. Needs a little bit more, and then he should be happily sailing. And once that's a 3-item Zeri with an Ivern, I don't think there's much you can do. Does he have it in base? I think he's going to maybe sell the Dorans and he gets it, or is he just going to wait? No, he's just going to get it easily. Yep. So Baron Force is on the cards, 100% for BDS. 100% the Baron Force with the Daisy. Can try and push G2 back. The only worry I have for BDS is you can get this Baron down easily, but an Evelynn is probably one of the best junglers in the game at stealing Baron if she's in the pit, because her ult is an execute.
Adam meets into Caps here. Yike flashing forward, look for the charm as well. Adam uses the stopwatch to buy a second. Rest of BDS really unable to react right now as G2 do find a kill on the bottom side of the map.
Pings are on to the top tier 2 tower. BDS want to at the very least trade something back. Mikyx and Han Sama are making their way up there, but I don't think they're going to be able to stop this siege.
TP behind. Caps is looking for this. They want the fight.
Yeah. Here they go. Nuke has a TP. The TP on the way, but BB's position's good.
And Crownie stunned up with the Spencer coming in already. Han Sama gets Crownie down to half HP. The redemption out. Killer instinct in from Han Sama. Caps now isolated from the rest of G2. He tries to kill off Crownie, but he just doesn't have the damage. BrokenBlade locked up as well. And BDS turn the tables on the fight as they find two.
The utility is just so strong from BDS. Crownie is left completely protected. And there's nothing that G2 can do about it. With the Baron up, BDS make their way towards that.
Evelynn doesn't have flash, so maybe Yike can get in the pit, but he sees absolutely nothing right now. He can ult backwards if he needs to get into that pit, but he would really love to ult the Baron itself, because that's a guaranteed steal. He needs vision though. Mikyx has no wards. He doesn't have Hex Flash either to sacrifice himself for vision, so I think they might just have to give it.
Muscular instinct coming in, but Prey Seeker. Yike met by Adam. And BDS will be able to secure the Baron. They're making sure they see where Yike is before they burn it down. BDS get the Baron at 21 minutes.
Yeah, Sheo didn't have smite, so they were really careful. So I feel like G2 just kind of went in a little bit scattered, but it makes sense because they only have this one window. Ian from BrokenBlade Q, get the Flurry W. Cleanse comes out, Crownie reposition. Nautilus ult goes in, but no one's ready to follow up. Hans ults in, but realizes he can't do damage, and then Caps is just left alone. Where does he go? There's a TP behind him. May as well go forwards. He dies and Yike's not there yet.
But also that rush, they have no control wards or any vision to be able to spot inside it, which means that Crownie was invisible. It was such an awkward position where the idea was good from G2, as you rightly said. That was probably one of their best windows. But the response from BDS with Sheo and Labrov, they executed perfectly. Now they have the Baron. BDS in firm control of game 2.
Now we just have to see if they can close it out. G2 had a couple of stumbles on their way to closing game 1. Dragon up in 1 minute's time as well. That would be the soul for BDS if they can secure it. They're pushing on 2 lanes right now. Nuke no TP, but he's in the top lane. Adam obviously running Ghost Flash means that they can't look for him in a side lane.
Big soul coming up now, yeah. So I think BDS can just start it. BrokenBlade has the TP. G2, I think they're kind of forced to fight this. Mountain Soul against Evelynn. You're probably fine, no matter what. And yeah, the Zeri's only really going to get even harder to kill. Stopwatch now will soon be upgraded to a Guardian Angel, you have to imagine, for Crownie. Mikyx trying to get some vision, but how do you really walk in here? Poke's going to come through, slowly landing in, but Crownie has the lifesteal and the red buff.
Yike is going all the way around here. Obviously
That's
invisible right now.
Though.
Yeah, Sheo. I mean, if you can burst Sheo, Doesn't know where the rest of them are. Sheo doesn't spot him. Takes away that red.
Yeah.
They are very concerned about where this Evelynn is.
The control ward in the bush by the river might be enough, but Yike's going through the tower range. Caps locked up with the root caller, no flash on it. Oh, it does have the flash as he tries to get away, but he's already shut out. Yike going for Crownie, but he can't get close enough, and now BDS starting to hop, skip, and jump their way through this fight. Daisy stepping forward towards BrokenBlade. Nuke's already killed off Yike, and that's 2 as Caps fell earlier in the fray. BrokenBlade will follow, and Mikyx tries to walk away, but Adam's on the chase. Gets a bit of damage down, looking for a little bit more. Ghosting forward, the apprehend, the hammer comes down. An axe, in fact, for BDS as they guillotine their way through G2.
BDS leave no window open whatsoever. A cleanly won fight, 4 members dead. They were very aware of this potential flank, but they actually collapse onto Caps. He's the one that isolates himself. A good route from Sheo means that Adam and Sheo could quickly lock him down, and with him gone, the entire engage from G2 falls apart.
3 things happened to get onto Crownie. The first one was Yike, the second was Mikyx, the third was BB. Mikyx flash hook went wide, BB got knocked back on his E by the Tristana ult, and Yike just couldn't get in range. No cleanse, no flash on this area. If they could have got any kind of CC onto Crownie, they could have killed him, but yeah, I think you've got a double threat comp, haven't you? You've got the double AD carry. I mean, Adam's also incredibly strong, but these are the back lines you need to reach. You deal with the front line afterwards, but they can't even get to the Zeri without summoners. So I think that's it, isn't it? Such a huge gold lead to BDS and the Mountain Soul. It just feels impossible for G2 to get those kills.
It's a game where, obviously, Crownie is the person that everyone's looking at as the damage dealer, but this whole game is being defined by Sheo and Labrov right now, right? The utility that they're providing, the picks that they're finding, the cover, the way that they're moving on the map, the vision that they're setting up, it's all allowing Crownie to do his primary role, which is be a carry for BDS.
Blue side suiting them right now. Obviously, you have to wonder whether the Evelynn pick has kind of snowballed this game away from G2. Sometimes we do see these slightly eclectic picks in Game 2 after you've won Game 1 so convincingly, and then they revert to the norm in Games 3 and 4 and take it away.
Yeah, I feel like the jungle meta right now with Sejuani, Maokai, Rel, Poppy, it's really early game sacrificial, set up ganks, blow summoners, lanes carry through, right? Whereas if you play carry jungle, it's kind of the opposite. You can sacrifice lanes to make sure the jungle can get ahead, but jungle fell behind, and so the map just really feels really hard to contest neutral objectives.
Part of me feels, though, that if BDS didn't have this Braum, how different does this early game look?
Oh, sure.
You know, you talked about its value in the draft, Caedrel, and I have to question it again here. If Labrov was on a different pick, could Yike have had an easier early game? Could they have gotten through it? And could they have found more picks in the mid game?
Yeah.
Obviously, the if questions don't matter at this point. What matters right now is what is happening, and that is BDS is stomping G2. 10k is the gold lead, and they're looking to end the game right here, right now.
Massive lead for them right now as they look to even out our series. Inhibitor tower in the mid lane, the first focus. Nuke will start to open up on the bottom one as well. First inhibitor tower does fall, so does the second, and G2 really can't defend against this. You can see BrokenBlade just looking for some semblance of a little bit of gold somewhere on the map, but that tower's still very tanky, and BDS still pushing it forward. Yike flashes forward, tries to kill off Nuke, but can't take him out. And that's indicative of everything that's gone wrong for G2 in this game. They just do not have the damage to work through the utility from BDS. The Nexus tower is now the target for BDS. And although G2 was so dominant in Game 1, BDS are having none of it in Game 2. Hans Summer with a killer instinct, but that killer instinct will do naught for him, but lead him to his death. The BDS even us out at 1-1.
So the Evelynn doesn't work. Evelynn doesn't work, it feels like. I mean, you can BG2 and say, well, we can try it again, but I don't know, I feel like having Yike on an engaged jungler or some kind of supportive jungler just to help out the solo lanes is just more beneficial, isn't it?
I think huge credit to BDS. They ended the game in 26 minutes. They recognized the strengths of their comp. I think that they kind of addressed exactly what you talked about, Caedrel, in Game 1, which is that this Lulu Ivern gave them 0 options, right? They just couldn't do anything. They got steamrolled by G2, and they were kind of at the whims of G2 making a mistake. This time, though, Labrov and Sheo had way more control over the map. They were constantly looking for fights, and it was G2 that it felt like didn't have any options. This Nautilus just couldn't play the game.
Yeah, maybe is Ivern a problem, I think, if you're G2? I think there's a lot to think about. As much as you want to like drop the Evelynn, and the Nautilus pick doesn't really fit the draft into Braum Ivern. Is Ivern like an issue? You know, maybe that's something they consider, because can they pull this off with another melee support and just move around the map and have these champions like Darius and Olaf that get so supported by Ivern as well?
I mean, that's the question, right? And obviously G2 have the option to go back onto blue side for game 3, which will open things up a little bit more for them. We'll see if BDS adapt in the draft as well. I mean, we are ready to stand by. Oh, we're not standing by. We're going to buy. We're standing. They're there. Bye.
We're sitting. Bye. Hi. Hello. We talked so much about the gap, right? And about how difficult it was going to be for BDS and how successful they had been in spring with a formula. First off, they did a phenomenal job in this game. I think this was such a convincing game out of them, what I don't think we would have expected coming into this matchup beforehand with the data we had. So
yeah, I definitely think I can reel it in a little bit. I think that's for certain. That game was really good by BDS. Yeah. And I think you outlined it well with Spring. Everything we saw in that early game was what we needed to see from them, from every cylinder of every player on that team.
No, 100%. I think it's just from the get-go, in terms of the conditions that we spoke about before, I think just making sure that they're in a position where they can actually have control of a bot lane, which then connects together with the jungle, Sheo hitting the right beats.
All the control, you know, the 2v2 kills. I mean, it's insane.
It was strictly like a BDS game of old. They got the Braum on 5 into the Nautilus. Was strange that it was something that was opened up, but I think the idea from G2 was that they wanted to ban supports that are good into Evelynn. But all in all, I think that start, that invade on blue was really, really, you know, what hit the ground running for BDS, of course.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it turns out to be the key that they couldn't ban out enough, and the fact that BDS was so well equipped to take down the Evelynn. We all gasped, you know, the draft is happening. We go, oh, the Evelynn for Yike. How much damage is he going to be able to do? But lay out how BDS shut him down.
I think the key thing, like understanding Evelynn, is first and foremost, is like this is a champion that is relatively weak early, and she gets snowballed through what her lanes are. In these particular conditions, they drop the ward on the other side, and she gets tagged by this cube before she gets invisibility. They commit for the all-in because Evelynn is very, very weak in this position. BDS initially had very, very good control over that Drake, and they managed to find a nice collapse. If Evelynn doesn't get a hand in the game and she doesn't have laners to facilitate that, her presence doesn't matter, because wherever Ivern is, he's going to win anyway.
Yeah, and you know, we talked about the win conditions again. Adam roaming this time around just to find an Evelynn. No flash after the first invade. She's only level 5. This pickup is super easy and very intelligent from BDS as well to pick this kill up. I think in general, Evelynn is one of these solo queue picks where if you can't play coordinated against it, which you can't in solo queue because it's impossible, she snowballs super easily. But what BDS designed in a win condition here was tracking where she was going to be, especially when she didn't have invis, and shut her down at every single opportunity.
And then everything cascaded. We said in the beginning of the day, you know, Adam has to make his moves and make his imprint on that early game in connection with Sheo, which in that part can then enable the bot lane, and that's what we saw when Crownie looks like vintage Crownie. It's in games like this.
100%. Zeri, just the fact that they have a strong matchup. The Braum came through there in the end, you know, a classic pick into the Nautilus. Sheo having a really, really good start, and also a very streamlined way of how to approach the game. He just needed to make sure that he was in the bot position to be there. They had the Tristana pushing mid, Darius securing himself at all times, and then the Braum, of course, just a very strong 4-5. I think G2 really needed to switch up the direction there on the 4-5, because on the other end, I really liked how they banned Xayah and then Lucian, of course, to make sure that the enemy is weak.
But also just look how discoordinated G2 bot lane is in this situation. Like, they are not on the same page at all whatsoever. You can clearly see what BDS wants to do, but G2, they're just splitting up. But once again, Crownie had pretty much a 3k gold lead 14 minutes into the game on a Zeri, which is usually one of the late game champions we fear. I mean, he just got accelerated so hard, it was almost impossible for him not to carry this game.
I think just coming down to how everything played out, right? Making sure that they have a pushing bot. The other side is also the same. It's like Mikyx, when he's the one on the pushing side, he can dominate the game. They shut down that aspect. All of a sudden, they can't spread that pressure to Yike, and then they can't spread that pressure to Cap. So it kind of puts that kind of that stop in the track of what G2 want to accomplish. Yike was in a very weak position on a weak champion. He needed more from his teammates, but they just couldn't contribute. attribute that because BDS did a very good job of managing the lanes. Like Darius was secure this whole game. He was pushing, finding the bases, and then the kill on Evelynn, as we highlighted.
Yeah, and by managing the lanes, they managed the objectives. G2 never really found an avenue to play their game. They couldn't play through the lanes. They couldn't play through their macro. They tried to cross-map with it, but even the cross-maps they were unsuccessful with. I remember thinking back to the bot wing where BrokenBlade and Caps is trying to dive as well, but Nuke just shoots them away immediately. So everything they try just fails, either by themselves of design or by BDS outplaying.
Yeah, and BDS having those objectives on lock, we know how comfortable they are when they are in a winning position to do that, to choke you out of that game. And I think to me, very reminiscent of game one. It was as convincing, it was as much shut down by BDS in the second game as we saw it by G2 in the first. Yamato, you brought up a point about how both teams like to play with a bot advantage and how differently they approach it if they get it.
I think just the key thing there, I think just they picked Nautilus on 3, which was very surprising. I think they wanted to have this theoretical composition that works really, really well with Evelynn, but I think they ended up overthinking it and not banning something as simple as the Braum in the 4-5. The fact that Zeri gets to get picked, you know, Zeri is a champion that is changed, but she's very strong in the early lane phase. I think that really enabled BDS to set themselves up for success and then, of course, snipe the Evelynn and secure the first Drake.
No, I agree. I don't know what went down. I mean, I don't have much more to add it. When you see Nautilus into Braum, like as a support main myself, it's Giga doomed. Like that matchup sucks, and it's not fun to play. They made the most out of it, I really gotta say, but in the end, it's still Braum into Nautilus. You're not gonna make it work.
So like you're squeezing a lemon, you can only get that much lemon juice out, but you're supposed to make lemonade, I guess.
Yeah.
But coming into game 3,
get a few
G2,
drops.
a few drops. Very healthy, I think. G2 have selected blue side, so that means we're going back to the status quo we came into the series with. How much does that change with the information they gathered out of how BDS gets there? Perfect comp.
Well, I think they won't do the rel ban themselves now. They can ban away the Tristana. They won't have to have Caps suddenly pushed in. I think that did a lot to the early game as well. The fact that Caps had to expend TP first. Caps are out of mana on the Jayce. The Tristana had the matchup that worked out for them. They can go back to standard bans and maybe not be too creative, but just play a more standard approach to the game.
I think Ivern also needs to be addressed. I think Ivern was
Just
pretty
like
strong.
yesterday.
Yeah, Ivern was pretty strong. I think in the first game they had Ivern Lulu, which was over-indexed on this identity. I think if Ivern is paired together with a support that can create more presence in terms of beefiness, I think the compositions that BDS have been drafting today will be more complete.
All right. TLDR, we want beef. So we're going to take a quick break and we'll be back to cover the picks and bans for game 3 right here on the Analyst Desk. Bye-bye.
Enough to get a plate 2. A little bit greedy. Hansama having killer blades, but Hansama is
Hansama going in, the unbreakable immediately from Labrov, and Hansama will fall. Crownie will fall in response.
I have W as well, but I'm gonna heal up. I'm gonna mark Darius. Just stand up, get out, guys. Okay, wait,
Braum is there. Nice.
Nice. Get out, Zeri is coming.
Thanks to Adam.
Oh, they hooked him out the way! So they can snipe him!
We can play 4v3 by the way.
No, it's for like
No,
avoid for retreat. Okay.
No flash. Is that no flash? I'm sure you're thinking. They can look to TP right now. Yeah, I'm fine. Enough. No, wait, we play about that. Okay.
Look to bait TP, okay? You only need to bait TP.
Nice.
Okay, nice. Insane.
Okay.